Hey, greetings from Texas. All right, today's a big day for me. I'm going to be firing up this my replica, or what I think of what a North Korean soldier would use for a stove. And we're going to go ahead and get this started. Now, if you know anything about North Korea, stories from the defectors is generally a majority of their army is very poorly equipped, poorly trained, and poorly fed. A North Korean soldier is 2 to 3 inches shorter than his South Korean counterpart. If they're lucky, they may have a dining facility at their base, but a lot of their outlying bases, soldiers often have to forage for themselves to get enough to eat. There's a lot of corruption in the higher ups. I'm sure that a lot of the officers in charge pilfer a lot of the money meant for food and put that in their own pockets. If you're familiar with the North Korean soldier that defected a few years ago, he was malnourished and inundated with internal parasites. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. I got a little bit of this Royal Oak tumbleweed fire starter. We're going to get some sticks going, and we're going to use some lump charcoal. I'm trying to think of what they would have access to. Probably lump charcoal or coal. A lot of their forests are devastated from the people, just regular people, going in to get wood and things to cook their own food. So let's go ahead and get this going, and I'll give you some background how we got here today. All right, we'll get this going with the sticks. It's kind of an experiment. I mean, it's basically a hobo stove made from a tin can. Okay, if you're not aware, I am really big into military history. My area of expertise is with World War II. I've been studying extensively since I got out of high school. My dad was a World War II veteran. He was part of a bomber crew during World War II, and my mother is Japanese. She was living in Japan and survived the Allied bombing. Their home was destroyed during the firebombing of Tokyo. So they essentially met after my dad was in the Korean War. And so I'm pretty much a byproduct of World War II. And I also had the benefit of getting kind of an insider's view on two different aspects of the conflict. So a few years ago, when people started defecting from North Korea, I became really curious about their society. It is the extreme of socialism and communism. I feel sorry for the people. They live in poverty. You have the very rich that live around the Pyongyang region, and the general population is basically ostracized. They have compulsory military service. The men have to serve 10 years, the women 7 years. Unless you're going to college, then your military obligation is 5 years. A lot of the stuff you see on TV, their parades, a lot of the weapons they display there are for display purposes only. A North Korean soldier barely gets a couple of weeks of basic training, and then they're sent out with very little firearms training due to just money issues. Their equipment is poor, and I'll try to put a link in the description below to a channel called Dimple. And these are North Korean defectors, and they are exposed. They talk about their experience and compare them with different things, Western or free world, like food, and comparison of their military and other modern militaries, etc. Also put a link, if you go check out my military history playlist, you'll see I tout it as the world's smallest World War II museum. And anyway, I have a collection from all nations of World War II artifacts. In fact, I'm wearing a reproduction Africa Corps helmet. I build reproduction and original uniforms, if I can get the original pieces. This is a World War II Africa Corps German Army hat, which was used during the Africa campaign. And that uniform is all reproduction, and I did everything like hand sewed the patches, and I'm wearing this to kind of give it age because I'm going to put it on a display. So I have uniforms, Japanese, British, American, and German. Not much Russian stuff right now. So anyway, I've been trying MREs from around the world. There are no reports that I know of, just because of the economic situation in North Korea, of them having an MRE. But in 2019, I went to Asia, and if you go to my travel list, you'll see I went to Singapore. Then I hooked up with some friends on a cruise ship. We ended up in Japan. So I was in Singapore before the cruise, and I remained in Japan after, and then COVID hit, and I barely got back to the US. When I was in Vietnam, I tend to not like cruises, but I departed away from my friends. They did all the cruise line stuff. I did my own thing, and I joined them a few times. But while I was in Vietnam, while the other folks went up to Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon, what was formerly Saigon, I went to the local town and just explored on my own, and had a lot more free time and saw a lot of things that they didn't get to see. Well, on the street, I met a Chinese guy who just happened to be from my cruise ship, and he was a businessman. And he said that he had some connections in North Korea through China, and he would be able to maybe get me an MRE ration. Now, the MRE rations are only for their special forces units or their elite units. Their best fed crews are typically the pilots and their submarine crew member. So anyway, it's taken literally 3 years for me to get this. So I finally got it this week, and here's the North Korean MRE. Now, their packaging is rudimentary. My understanding are the labels are actually hand-drawn on by school children. That helps get them indoctrinated into supporting the military and make a contribution to their supreme leader. So my understanding, this ration is a week-long ration based upon their dietary guidelines. So let's go ahead and take a look. Once that stove gets going, I'll be able to heat up some water in case I need it. So let's open this thing up. And let's see what we have. All right, so we have a napkin. Pretty windy, this is gonna blow away. A pair of chopsticks. Cheap chopsticks, made from the finest North Korean lumber. We have an accessory pack, and there it indicates there's toilet paper in here. So we have some Russian sugar. We have Korean tea bag and North Korean toilet paper. And we also have a book of matches. I guess I should have used those to start the stove. So we might need that toilet paper later. Alright, so this is food for a week. Alright, here we have what appears to be a bowl of rice. We have a cabbage. It's probably kimchi. Looks like a carrot. And this has a boned fish with a fish head on it. So let's go ahead and plate this out. But I'm gonna wait until the hot water's done, and then so we'll come back so I can have some tea. Okay, I'm gonna put the hot water on and see how long that takes. It's pretty good heat coming off that thing. And I think what I'm going to do is heat up that rice. And we'll use this kind of like a double boiler. I think while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and put the tea bag in now. There's already bubbles at the bottom of that water. There's the tea bag. All right, we'll come back when that's done. Okay, it's been roughly 10 minutes. So let's check it out. It's warm. Okay, that rice is hot. Tea bag string got burnt off. The background noise is a new subdivision being built about a mile away. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and put everything out. Let's get our rice out. That warmed up pretty nicely. Pretty windy out. Let's do our kimchi. Let's see what our vegetable, our carrot. Okay, here's our carrot. And let's open up our fish head here. Well, it's actually a generous fillet. They get their sugar from Russia. I'm gonna go ahead and use that and then we'll save that for dessert. Save the rest of that for dessert. And let's get our tea out here. A little weak on the tea. It's not bad. Nice green tea flavor. So here's a close-up look of the North Korean Democratic People's Republic of Korea Ground Forces MRE. So start off with some vegetable. You want to make sure you get a lot of roughage because that toilet paper ain't gonna go very far. And here's a little piece of fish. Let's give that a try. It's actually not bad. That's it's got like a soy, maybe a black bean kind of flavor to it. Here's our rice. It's a short grain rice, almost kind of like a Japanese rice. Let's try our kimchi. Get some of that. It's on there. A little salty. But as far as kimchi goes, it's not bad. Go ahead and we don't want to let anything go to waste. Let's go ahead and season our rice here. So again, this would be a ration for a week. And like I said, probably more for their special operations type of troops. They have the 4th largest standing army in the world, so to be able to put these out with their limited capabilities would be kind of tough. Some more of this juicy carrot. Oh, getting full. You know, if you do, after a few days of eating, your stomach will shrink. So eating large quantities, they had that experience with the concentration camps when they liberated those in World War II. They tried feeding the internees, and a lot of them got sick. They couldn't handle the food. Their body rejected it. So I would say for a fish, that's quite pleasant. The tea has kind of a green tea and reminds me of a fermented rice toasted rice that the Japanese have. Oh, and of course I'll save these chopsticks. They can become good kindling. We'll have some more of this tea. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at a very rare item. My curiosity has been cured. I appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for watching.